Today we are going through a visual explanation of what this channel is about, in a sense. And as I'm an artist and graphic designer, I thought to put my skills to good use, right? And a picture worth 1,000 words, as they say. So this is the map, in a sense, we are going through, but we will start here. So we have this conceptual representation, which is a tool we have. And within this conceptual representation, a point is a point only because anything else is not the point, right? So a point is defined through contrast and comparison. And also we can have big and small only if there is a small point next to the big point. So otherwise there is no big, there is no small. This is the case with above and below, within and without, high and low, and so on, here and there. And the point is that all this is a conceptual representation. And it's not a problem. This conceptual representation is not a problem in itself, but our identification with this conceptual representation is a problem, right? So if we say there is existence and non-existence, a 3D world appears, because we say there is existence as compared to non-existence. So we think that something that is in a way came from something that is not, or somehow it has a margin to it. This is a conceptual representation. Okay, so this is just how this conceptual representation sees. But where this is important is that we say that there is existence and non-existence, right? So we say there is non-existence. This is very weird, right? Because from what standpoint we would say that there is no non-existence, right? So we are saying that there is existence and non-existence only from the standpoint of isness, of beingness. So it's clear that this existence and non-existence is only a conceptual representation, and who we are is not of this conceptual representation. So right from the start we can see this, right? But if we identify to be someone within this conceptual representation, then we believe that we exist, and then we will not exist. But this is a conceptual representation. This is just how this tool of conceptual representation can see. It's the only way it can see, right? It sees through comparison. In order to be existence, there has to be non-existence for this conceptual representation. But actually there cannot be non-being, right? As being is. When being is, there cannot be non-being, right? So I wrote here some things. I am. I cannot be absent to myself. I cannot be absent to myself. I cannot be absent to myself. How could that be, right? I cannot not be. Where that would be? right? Okay. So, but the point was here that this is a conceptual representation, and to see that it can only see through comparison, right? Like we explained here. And that's why we have those sayings that as above, so below, or as within, so without. Because this tries to show that it's beyond this perception, right? Okay. Why? So here we have like a 2D and 3D comparison, right? So if this guy lives in this realm of 2D plane, he will find only things that are of this 2D plane, right? So conceptual representation on its own level cannot see outside of itself. Conceptual representation cannot see outside of conceptual representation. It sees how it sees. Yet there is this 3D plane, and we can see this struggle. We can see, yes, this struggle. Okay, so as we understand this 2D, 3D comparison, we, as we live, seemingly live in a 3D world, we can have a 3D to 5D, so to speak, comparison. So we can have this quote, I found it somewhere, only truth can know truth. Only truth can know truth. Right, so we can know, quote and unquote, know, because this is not about accumulated knowledge, knowing, or as data. We can know truth as truth, or being this truth. So identifying as truth, being this truth, only in that way we can know truth as ourselves, right? The truth of ourselves. So on its own level, this action figure tries to find a future fulfillment, but we are operating here in the conceptual representation. So we say that I lack something and I must find it in the future. But it's a perceived lack, because there cannot be non-beingness, right? Non-beingness cannot be. So this action figure runs indefinitely in its place, right? Because he cannot reach this future fulfillment, never, right? Because his position must be different than the other position, right? In order to be defined to be here, right? So if I try to get out from something, right, I presuppose that I'm in something. Or if I try to get into something, I presuppose that I am out of that something, right? And this has to remain the same, because otherwise there is no comparison. So all this talk of uniting the opposites is impossible. You cannot unite opposites. It's not that you unite opposites. In my opinion, we see that these opposites are irrelevant to who we are, right? And we have nothing to do with this way of seeing. Okay, so this is, in a sense, this all this is the way that we see through this conceptual representation, and because we have this misidentification as a conceptual representation, as an object, as an image in time, as an object in time, we believe that if we control something or we manipulate something, then the future fulfillment will be ours, right? Now, maybe this could be true in a sense in the physical world, right? Because this is a world of determinism, but as mind, right? This is our mind. This is impossible, and because the more we try to get out from something, the more we confirm that we are in that something. So the more we try to control and manipulate something, the more we confirm to our mind that we don't have that thing, right? So also this implies strategic thinking, logic, rituals, right? All rituals we think that if I do something, then I will get to this future fulfillment, which doesn't work. So the great finding here, the great insight, let's say, is that as mind, we function very differently than how we seemingly function as physical bodies. And so as physical bodies, we can go and grab something, right, and have it. But as mind, we can't, right? Because we actually live in no time, in instantaneity. Right? So if I believe that I try to get somewhere, that I have to get somewhere, then I believe that I have to get somewhere. Right? Knowledge is also of the same realm, because we believe that the more data we accumulate about something, the more we know it, in a sense. But that's only data. We can know it only through ourselves, in a sense, right? As we said here, we know truth as truth, being it, right? This is an artwork I made in 2017, which shows freedom, right? Because this can be, let's say, freedom, whatever, right? So we believe that we are progressing toward this, right? But actually it's all a display. Okay, like this, right? So this is us, right? And we see through this conceptual representation where we believe we are divided, right? It's us and the world, right? The carrot, this carrot can be anything, our future fulfillment, and we are going toward it. But this is impossible, right? To get from here to there, because here must be defined in opposition to there, right? So there is no possibility to unite these two. But this concept here and there can remain, right? But we see it to be irrelevant. We see it to be irrelevant, and that is transcendence, because this conceptual way of seeing is how it sees, right? It's its only possibility. Is this plane, in a sense, right? But we are not of it, right? So it's actually flat. This is another artwork I made. So we are in this world but not of it, right? We are the alien from another dimension. This is the instantaneity screen, and we see ourselves within this 3D world, having problems and so on. But this what we are, which is here represented in one of my videos through this water, is permeating everything. Right? Also, this is the case with choices, right? So it's a false choice. I mean, if we can say we can say that if we go up in the mountains and be a monk, or go to some beautiful location or something, and then find this fulfillment, this inner fulfillment, this is also a false choice, right? And we have this tarot card which represents just this, right? Because these two swords, right, is the air element, the mental element, and it's blindfolded, right? So this card, in a way, means peace, right? Because we don't have to choose locations or something to do to find this fulfillment that we are. And this is another artwork I created. You can't miss it, right? Okay. Okay, so hopefully this is of help. And we see each other in another video. I do have some other graphics that I created, but that's in another video. Okay, thank you.